It's a Squirtle or Bospiakia or Olkiorodu or MTG Collects. This is my Zevlor Ultra Exile deck. He is a 1 and Grixis colours, haste 4/2 with 2 tap. When the next cast an instant or sorcery that targets a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn. For each of those opponents, choose that player. For each opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control, copy that spell, and copy targets for the chosen player or permanent. So he comes down on, say, turn 3 if you got some rocks, or turn 3 or some mana rocks and stuff. But I've grouped the cards together like this. These are the creatures, and the token generators when I cast instant sorceries are Talrand, Third Path Iconoclast, and Young Pyromancer. Then we've got card draw and recurring spells with Bloodwater Entity and the card draw being Archmage Emeritus. We've got the untapped shenanigans like Chakram Retriever, Clever Conjurer, Kelpie Guide, Nimble Claw Adept, Vizier Tumbling Sands. And we've got cost reducers like Nightscape Familiar, Goblin Electromancer, Wizards of Day, and some other cost reducers in like the artifacts typing or enchantment typing. We got some generally good creatures like Kess, Dissident Mage. We've got Magmatic Channeler, which gives us Impulse Draw. Veyran is a big player in this deck should you get him out, because he comes down on 3 because of his cost. But then whenever casting or copying an instant sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent I control to trigger, it will trigger an additional time. So that would mean, say you have a Gutter Snipe out, it will trigger another time, doing another 2 damage to each opponent. With Talrand, it will make another 2/2 Drake. With, I guess, Bloodwater Entity, it will get the Prowess trigger again, and then again. We've got 16 sorceries in the deck. Many of them are high costed, but the good thing about that is we've got the cost reducers and we've got a lot of, how can I say, accelerants in the decks like High Tide and such. But we've got Clone Legion. That, if you copy that with a target player, the copy that targets each other player, basically it will make a copy of every creature on each opponent's board, all on my board. Cruel Ultimatum is just a huge Grixis spell. Target opponent sacrifices a creature, discards 3 cards, loses 5 life, then I return a creature card from my graveyard to my hand, draw 3 cards, and gain 5 life. All those effects will trigger 3 times. And Exhaustion, huge card in the deck. It just means no untaps for my opponents. Being creatures and lands target opponent controls do not untap during his or her next untap step. Then you got Feed the Swarm, some artifact removal. You got Go Blank, more discard shenanigans. Mine Funeral for mill. Peer into the Abyss for mill. Palaka Predation, MDFC, that can make them discard a card when they reveal their hand. Pilfered Plans, really good in the deck. It mills them for 2. Then I draw 2 cards, but because of the copies for each opponent, it mills all of them for 2, but in total I will draw 6 cards. River's Rebuke is just, well, it's basically Cyclonic Rift in this deck if you copy it. Rousing Refrain is a huge ritual that goes on suspend, and then you can hardcast it. Hang on, let me read this. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Until end of turn, you don't lose mana as steps and phases end. Exile Rousing Refrain with 3 time counters on it. So you want to hardcast that. Rakdos's Return, more discard and a bit of burn. Then we got some removal, a Braid, Leadership Vacuum to make all my opponents return their commanders to hand. Peak, draw cards. Repeal, return stuff, draw cards. Siphon Insight, which is like playing off the opponent's top of the library. Snap, return target creature to its owner's hand, untap 2 lands. So return something creature-wise to each opponent's hand, and untap up to 6 lands. Turnabout is another choose a certain type, and then tap all untapped permanents of the chosen type, but if I do that for each player for the most problematic pieces, then everybody's getting tapped down. It's got Twin Cast, it's got Increase in Vengeance, just to copy spells, we've got Cloud Key to reduce stuff, Swiftfoot Boots, and then just a Demir Signet, Izzet Signet, Rakdos Signet, 2 Talismans, a Fort Vessel, a Wayfarer's Bauble, and a Fran Dynamo. We got Jace's Sanctum. Whenever I cast instant sorcery spells, I scry 1 and cost reduce on instant sorcery. Swarm Intelligence and 1000 Year Storm are just copy, more copies, more copies, more copies, more copies. And then the land base so far is 35 lands, including the MDFC. Well, 36 including the MDFC. I've got a Blood Crypt, Command Tower, 4 Crumbling Necropolis, nice card. Demir Aqueduct, 8 islands, 8 mountains, 8 swamps, Riveteer's Outlook, Obscura Storefront, Maestro's Theatre, Myriad Landscape, Molten Tributary, and Rakdos Carnarian. Tokens in the deck are Copy tokens, Drake tokens, Elementals, and Soldiers. And yeah, the deck only costs $170. That's excluding basic lands. So yeah. Hope you guys can check me out, Squirtle, or MTG Collects, or on Discord, you know. Alright, pass turn.